Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. It's raining just a little bit, but not too bad. This canopy, see, keeps most of the rain off of you. It's not too bad out here. Thought I would get out and do a little training. Haven't done enough training with the plates on, so thought I should be doing that a little bit more. In case you ever wonder, I wear a stripped down plate carrier so that I can throw the chest rig over it, because I figure I'm gonna use a chest rig more often than I would need a plate. But anyway, some of you don't care about that, but I thought I would answer that question for those of you that might ask. If you haven't, might want to check and see if you're subscribed to this channel. If you like the stuff that I'm putting out, I would appreciate it. Trying to just continue the growth and fight back against the YouTube algorithms is for the time that we're still allowed to be over here, which who knows how much longer that'll be. Last night on the live stream, and if you missed it, the live stream is not on YouTube. I deleted it because we were talking about things that I figured YouTube wouldn't like, and so when I do that, afterwards, I delete the live stream off of YouTube, but you can still go watch it over on Rumble. So it's over on our Rumble channel. You can go over there and watch it and follow us on Rumble. But anyways, we were talking about this horrific fire that's happened in Hawaii, and it is absolutely awful. Last I checked, over 80, somewhere around 90 people have been confirmed dead. I've seen reports saying that there are still hundreds of people missing. And from the looks of it, it's quite within the realm of possibility that many of those hundreds of people missing could have been, consumed in the fire also. I mean, it's awful. Cars everywhere, buildings just burnt to the ground, melting the aluminum wheels. Saw a video where looks like streams on the roads and the gutter of aluminum from the car wheels and things like that. Absolutely awful, and we should certainly be remembering those people and their families and stuff in prayer over there. I'm not sure what type of relief effort might be happening because of that. I haven't seen any yet, but I'm sure there will be something that people can help. I mean, it's on an island out in the middle of the ocean, so it's going to be a little different thing. It's not like, a tornado where a bunch of people like over at Grindstone can just run over there and help them. So I don't know how the relief will look, but I would guess it's going to happen at some point, which is part of the topic today, talking about that. I say on this channel often, when whether they're natural disasters or whatever, any type of disaster situation, we should always examine what's going on and kind of use it as a learning experience, at least from us on the outside, of how the people reacted to it, government response to it, everything, because it gives us a little bit better idea of how to handle things when they happen to us. And this is certainly one of them. There's lots of reports, and I'm basing this information on firsthand reports. At least that's what people claim. They could all be lying, so but I think it seems to be pretty accurate. Firsthand reports of people that live on the island of how things are going. And, well, they're not going very good. A couple of people are reporting that the government is not allowing anyone to come in and bring any type of supplies or assistance to the areas that's been burned. That most of the people that are in those areas, they're kind of locked in. They've set up roadblocks. They're not allowing, like there was reports of people trying to bring, gasoline, so that the people that are in the burned areas that their cars still work, they could, put gas in their cars and at least get out of there. Bottled water. There's been reports of people already that they have no water, they have no food. Outside of the areas that were burned but still on the island, there's no food, no water. The supplies have gotten pretty low, and so the rest of the people on the island that's trying to help out their neighbors, they're running out of food and water. You have to realize, folks, it's a relatively small island out in the middle of nowhere. Now, yeah, there's other islands around it, but they're still out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the ocean. And so supplies don't get there quite the same way as they do to you or I. Or if, you're living in a city that gets taken out by a tornado, many times you can just get in your car and drive to the next town or the town over from there or next couple of counties and find an area that has stuff. That's not the case here. And so we're watching very rapidly what happens when an area gets cut off from the supply chain. And it's more profound there, and it's happening more quickly there because of the fact that they're an island out in the middle of the ocean. But I think that it would give us a very good idea of what will happen here if the supply chain was cut off. If the grid went down, if it's whatever happened that would cause the supply chain to be cut off, the fuel to be cut off, it would be very catastrophic and it would happen very quickly. Now, as of yet, I've not seen any reports of people behaving badly there. Doesn't mean they're not. I just haven't seen any reports of it. But we're already seeing, just in a few days, we're not talking many days or even weeks, just a few days. I mean, there's still places that's still on fire, it's still an ongoing problem. It's not like the fire's out and it's done and it's over. Now it's just recovery. There's still fires going. But we're seeing already how quickly things can fall apart, how quickly people run out of things. The average person, and I know this may sound crazy to you, when I talk to preppers or to homesteaders, people that just kind of live this lifestyle, whether they self-identify that or self-identify as that or not. Most people, have some food stored up, have a little supply of things, because especially if you live out in the country, you just know that there's always a chance stuff could happen. But the average person does not do that. The average person has about 2, maybe 3 days of food and supplies in their house. That's it. That's just the reality of it. And after that time period, it's over. The average town, this is actually a study, I think it was FEMA, I believe. The average town, if it were to be cut off from the outside world, could last about 3 days. So if you took all the groceries and all the gasoline in that town, it could sustain that town for about 3 days before it's done. And so here we see a very severe situation, and people are being cut off because of the situation, and they have nothing. And it's getting to a desperate level. Now, I assume, notwithstanding any kind of crazy conspiracy, that some of these conspiracies floating around about the situation are starting to look very real. But without that, I would assume that the government, the rest of the islands, and the mainland are going to be shipping stuff over there for these people. But who knows? The point is that it shows how very quickly things can turn bad and people can run out of stuff. And so that right there should be enough motivation for you to take things seriously and get prepared, get stocked up. Just in food and water and basic supplies alone should be enough of a reason. Now, we're also seeing the local government, law enforcement there, are behaving in a way that doesn't appear very good. There's reports that they are being very harsh, that they're talking their mannerisms to the victims. These are not criminals. These are not people that there's any suspicion whatsoever that they've committed a crime. They are victims of this. And there's lots of reports of how they're handling, how the government's handling them, and it's not very nice. People are claiming that, they're just trying to bring food or water to their neighbor, and they're being talked to like a dog, told to get out of there. People aren't allowed to get anything. And we're seeing a major disaster happening, not just with the fire, but also with the response. And we're watching how the law, how the government can have very little humanity, it seems, when it comes to these kind of situations, which is also something to consider. And again, this isn't even some kind of, World War III, Civil War, complete apocalypse type of situation. I mean, for the people there it is. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not. We're seeing a small example of what things could be like for the rest of us in the near future. That's a fire. It may not be a fire that we have to deal with. Could be. There's been certainly a lot of those. Another recycling plant was reported burned to the ground this morning. There's a lot of those. Saw someone say that it's quite possible that this is the because there's been a lot of recycling plants. Like 4 or 5 major recycling plants just this past week, caught fire and burned. Could it be that that's a way to affect the food supply? Because a lot of the containers, whether they're plastic, glass, or metal containers for food, a lot of that comes from recycled material. I don't know. Is it just a coincidence? If you've watched me for any length of time, you know how I feel about coincidences. Fact is that we're seeing things that certainly are horrific in the moment. They're bad for people in the moment. And we should pray for them. And if we're able to, and if the opportunity arises, help them. I mean, in the end, that's what we're supposed to do as believers, is to help those that are less fortunate. But it also gives us the opportunity to learn from the situation and to figure out how bad it is and how it could happen like that for us, and to be prepared for that. So I think the biggest lesson is to make sure you have supplies. But another lesson, what if your supplies are what's getting burned? That's not a good idea. So part of your plan shouldn't just be that you have a bunch of food stocked up, because again, if that's what catches fire, then you're no better off than anyone else. You should have the ability to load up and move out quickly if necessary, so that you can at least get some of your supplies. You may not be able to get all of them, but some of them. And then it's also good to have backups in other locations. Maybe you have a family member, someone that you can trust a lot, because you don't want to do this with people you can't really trust. But maybe there's a family member, your mother or your grandparents, that live so many miles away. Maybe they even have a little farm or live out in the country. Can you stash stuff there? You could even go to the extent of, stashing stuff in the national forest. I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do or even legal, but people do it. If you do it properly, it makes it nearly impossible for anyone to find it. The point is that You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and have everything you own in one place, because if it goes up, well, then you're hurting. And it doesn't even have to be off your property. You know, don't have all your supplies and everything in one building. Can you have a separate building, some type of shed that you're also putting certain things in? Can you bury it, some of it on your property? There's ways to do that properly. Have some type of cellar, root cellar, storm shelter that you store part of it. Point is it's a good idea to diversify where you're putting your stuff. I know that's difficult for some of you. It's certainly something that you should be considering when it comes to your prepping plan. Because if it was a tornado or fire or hurricane or something like that, you don't want everything you have all in one spot. You want to be able to have it in different places and the ability to grab at least a portion of it. Bug out bags, buckets. I think buckets are great. I know if you had to leave on foot, it may be difficult, but buckets can easily be thrown in the back of a pickup. We also have one of those heavy-duty pull-behind wagons, you know, like you hand pull wagons with big pneumatic tires. That's another one of our contingency plans. Thing can hold like 1,000 pounds. Throw several buckets in that. Everyone's got their gear on. We head out on foot if we have to. So there needs to be multiple layers to your plan, because if something like what's happened in Hawaii, or at least that level of a disaster, it's going to make life really tough for you. You need to be getting your houses in order. You need to be preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.